and you can tell them.
Well, Trump, perhaps not surprisingly, has now responded in kind on Twitter. He has taken a shot now at Bill Clinton, Philip. One tweet even making reference to what tabloids do report is a nickname for one of his alleged mistresses. Is this just another day that ends in Y?
It is, as a matter of fact. I think that it's been pretty clear that Donald Trump has decided to latch upon these old Clinton scandal stories, which a lot of us who are old enough remember these very well and remember how these things have been sussed out over time. But there are a lot of new voters, or a lot of younger voters who may be encountering this stuff for the first time, in which I think Donald Trump thinks it'll be more resonant with that group. Obviously, what's happening here is priorities, which isn't the Clinton campaign. But Trump, of course, is trying to conflate it with the Clinton campaign, as he did with super PAC ads during the primary. But the goal here, obviously, is to try and remind female voters that Donald Trump is not their ally. That's what the Clinton campaign has been trying to do. That's what her allies are trying to do as well. And we've seen that Donald Trump's unfavorable numbers are very high among women. Women vote more than men do. If she can maintain that margin over the course of the campaign, it's going to be very, very hard for Donald Trump to win this thing. In certain new polls suggest that Hillary Clinton has roughly a 15% lead, 15-point lead on Donald Trump with female voters. But Betsy, Donald Trump also, in an interview that will air tonight with Megyn Kelly, speaks to the idea that he is merely a counterpuncher. He's counterpunching in this specific instance, perhaps, but it's not always true.
Punches. He often responds in a way that is much more punchy, if you will, than the original criticisms of him become. And one thing that I think is going to be interesting and kind of complicated for Trump going after Bill Clinton is that he himself has engaged in some of the behavior that Republicans would like to criticize Clinton for. For instance, Jeffrey Epstein is a New York City billionaire who was actually convicted of a sex crime, or he's a registered sex offender. And Reince Priebus last year criticized Epstein because of this, because Bill Clinton had flown on Epstein's plane. They have a friendship, some sort of relationship. But Trump also has said really nice things about Epstein. He said he has a great social life and is a nice person. So the fact is that Trump runs in kind of the same universe of men who have faced allegations of mistreatment of women. And the more he goes after Bill Clinton for those specific charges, the more he could open himself up to counter punches, if you will.
I just mentioned that poll. Another poll today also shows a general election matchup that perhaps a week or so ago people believed to be something of a runaway for Hillary Clinton. It is now appearing by the day to be perhaps much closer. At least the numbers tell this story. Philip, we're seeing some swing state polls again tell that story last week. And now here come new numbers that show a Clinton with just a 3-point lead over Donald Trump at present. Is this a trend as well? Does this suggest that this thing could be much closer than we may have thought just a week ago?
I don't put a lot of stock into polls this far out. I mean, I went back and looked at polling for national races in past campaigns. It's really not super predictive at this point. One of the things is that the trend is definitely that it's getting closer, but we're also at a point, as Betsy pointed out, where the Democrats are still fighting. They're still at loggerheads. There's still a lot of Sanders supporters that are not excited about a Hillary Clinton candidacy, which will probably change to a large extent between now and November, which will shift the numbers as well. I mean, I think that for Hillary Clinton, this is great. This is actually a good thing because it gets her people worried, and it means that they're going to want to get Bernie Sanders out of the race sooner so that the Democratic Party can coalesce. It's going to get her more fundraising. There are a lot of ways in which the perception of this being a close race heading in November is beneficial to the Clinton campaign. Whether or not it actually will be close is a whole different issue.
Very quickly, actually, before I let you go, Betsy, again, we heard Hillary Clinton say that Bill Clinton was going to be involved, was going to be something of an economic czar for her. It's not something that she has hidden to this point. She has mentioned it before, but now that she has put it front and center, and now that we see the strategy to a degree that Donald Trump is going to employ with him, the risks, will they outweigh the potential gains here for her?
It's hard to say. That said, Bill Clinton has the potential to be a really effective surrogate for her in certain states. For example, Kentucky, which votes today, he won both times. Well, I mean, obviously, in his re-election bid, he won the primary, but he also won it handily when he first ran for president. And he has a good sort of rapport with a lot of these white male voters that Clinton really struggles with. So he can certainly be an asset for her on the campaign trail. Not to mention, there is a lot of nostalgia among some older voters for the way the U.S. economy worked in the 90s. That said, of course, he's very willing to go off script. He engaged in a back and forth with Black Lives Matter protesters that really frustrated many progressive activists. He's certainly comfortable stating his mind. He's not someone who's easy for staff to manage. So yeah, it's a big risk for her to put him out there. That said, she really needs help with certain demographic groups, particularly white men, and he can be an asset there. So it's not going to be super surprising if we see him a little bit more.
Well, considering what we've seen today, what with the ads and the tweets in response, it would be best if we all keep our YouTube and Twitter tabs open on the desktop today. Betsy Woodruff and Philip Bump, we appreciate the time today.
Sure thing.
Of course.